Hello and welcome to episode number 80 of the Nintendo Jump Podcast. It's January 9th. My name is Daryl, and today I'm once again joined by Sergio. How are you, man?
Hey, Daryl. I'm doing pretty awesome. I'm doing great. It's been a very good
That's
day.
nice to hear. You've gotten some good news today, but we'll get into that. With us, as always, Kevin. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing awesome. I'm feeling pretty good. How are you, Daryl? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well too.
Nice.
Not too bad. We just got off of something pretty cool, but you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it to you, Kevin. What's this episode about?
Well, we just got off one of the really, really cool interview with Nick Wozniak. He is like quote unquote the art master for Shovel Knight series, and I was just like, oh, so cool. And I am just blown away by having that conversation, and I had a great time. Hope you all did too. Beside that, we're gonna be talking about, I think a direct that just came out earlier this morning. With
yeah, that Nintendo Direct we've all been.
some of us. Pokemon. Okay, that was too much. Pokemon.
A little too much.
Okay, a little too much. Yeah. Pokemon. Some new announcements from Pokemon, and then we're gonna talk about, not from us, but from our listeners.
And us.
And, is it? Oh, we're gonna talk about our predictions too. Okay, great. I almost forgot, but it's gonna be on the spot 2020 predictions. Yeah. That's it.
Yep. We sent out the call to our listeners, but you're on the spot too, so don't forget that. But
right.
You have this whole interview coming up to think about your answers. So, I want you to sit there and think about them while we're listening to this interview. But oh man, without further ado, I'm so happy that we got the chance to talk to Nick from Yacht Club Games. We've been playing Shovel Knight as our game of the month, chosen by you, our listeners. It has been a fantastic time, and this is just the cherry on top for that. So please take a listen. All right, hello and welcome to another developer interview with Nintendo Jump Podcast. Today we are joined by Nick Wozniak from Yacht Club Games. Nick, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm doing good, and with us on our side today, we also have Kevin and Sergio. How are you guys?
Doing pretty awesome. I am really excited, so I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty awesome as well.
Sweet. Nick, honestly, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if you know, but our podcast, every month we do what we call our community game of the month. So we have our Discord community vote on the game that they want to play together for a month. It could be a new game, an old game, whatever. But for January of this year, they actually voted on Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. So we've been playing that thus far this month. As a community all together, those of us, including me, who haven't played since the original game's releases, and some people who haven't played at all.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, are really getting to experience Shovel Knight. So it was a great opportunity. Really, really wanted to get you guys included on this, and get your thoughts. Just from where we stand, Shovel Knight is kind of a unique game. It's a unique situation. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But first of all, so you are currently a member of Yacht Club Games. Can you tell us a little bit about how Yacht Club came to be and a little history on it?
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Nick Wozniak. I do pixel art here at the Yacht Club Games, and I have since the very beginning. We started pretty small. We started with 5 people. Well, no, we started with 6. Back when we started, we were just like kind of doing stuff at one of the guys' apartments. Like we were getting together, and it was at Sean's apartment, and we would we were working on a mobile game, and it looked like a more high fidelity. It looked like a Way Forward games because we all worked together at Way Forward. And so as we were working on it, it just became like kind of weird, and like we wanted to be more serious about it, and like make not mobile games, make like a big boy game. And so we like put our heads together, and it's like, what can we do? There's 6 of us. What can we actually do? And that resulted in a discussion that became Shovel Knight. So that's sort of like the beginnings of the seed of the beginnings of what Yacht Club became. And then we went to the Kickstarter, and then the Kickstarter became production, and then the over-promising of content became the last 6 years of my life, and here we are.
The rest is history, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, Shovel Knight is a retro-styled 2D action platformer, kind of in the style of NES games like Mega Man, Zelda 2, Mario Brothers 3, and so on. You announced it actually publicly in early 2013, and it went on Kickstarter at that point.
Yep.
From what I remember about that, the game funded like extremely quickly.
Oh yeah, it was it was a little rocky at first. We released the Kickstarter in March, and then at the end of March, end of March is when we had PAX East, and so we actually took the game that we had our little demo. And we took that to PAX East, and during PAX East is when it funded. So there was 2 weeks where it was yeah, it's doing okay. We raised $50K, and then and then we were at the place. And it was oh yeah, we raised $75K. And then when we got back, it was crazy. We were doing updates every day, and we reached out to some YouTube friends that we had, and this is sort of before people stopped talking about Kickstarters.
Yeah.
So it was we had an article on IGN, and Game Grumps played, and sort of two best friends played, and a bunch of other YouTube guys that we met along the way kind of played for us, and the swell of support kind of just scaled up pretty significantly in the last 2 weeks, and in the last week alone we made $100K. So it was you look at the chart, and it's this cubic ramp of skyrocketing it, and it was great. So at the end, we raised about $300K.
And during that time, you met all your stretch goals. You started adding more stretch goals, and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But so eventually, those stretch goals became additional campaigns and Shovel Knight Showdown, which is a really cool fighting game, kind of in the vein of a Smash Brothers in Shovel Knight style, which is awesome. And that actually, so the development on the initial campaigns just wrapped up. So December is when your last two pieces of content came out, King of Cards and Showdown, like I said. So after all of that, I have really one main question for you. How does it feel to finally be finished with what you set out 6 years ago?
Well, it feels weird in two ways, because it's done and we're not doing production on it, but there's still people that are doing QA on it right now, and there's some bug fixing that's happening so that we can fix issues that have come up post-launch.
Sure.
And so a portion of the company is still working on Shovel Knight, and I still see it on monitors as I walk by. But also we're a PR firm right now. We're just talking about our game and just putting out GIFs and videos and writing articles and all this stuff that's really tangential to making a game. So it's this weird we finished, great, now just kind of simmer for the next few months before we start at the next project. And yeah, so it's kind of a weird thing. I'm not sure if I've experienced this before, because at Way Forward, previously, I was on 2 or 3 projects at once, and when one finished, I was crunching, and then they would finish, and then maybe crunch would happen on the next project the next week. It was you're just constantly battered with tasks and things to do, and you're not really coming up with things to do, or you're not hey, it would be cool if we put together an article about the jump mechanics or whatever. That discussion never happened because we were always just so busy as a work for hire studio. So I've never had this weird simmering downtime, and so it's been weird. It's a huge weight off our shoulders, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, is it kind of relaxing to be in the simmer at this point, or does it just kind of feel are you kind of tense about it?
Oh no, it's definitely not tense. I'm just I'm eager to move on to the next thing. It is relaxing. We took the last couple weeks off of December. The office was closed. I didn't check my email for a lot of that, and for better or worse. And we just kind of hung out. that was nice. And now, we're coming back to it. We're talking about next things. We're envisioning what our next few years are, and like having some big discussions. And just today we had a really important one. I can't really get into that, but we're talking about like what our next steps creatively are, which is new. We talked about like, hey, we want to do this, in general. Like there's as you plan ahead, there's like multiple levels of like detail, right? Like you could almost imagine like sketching out a drawing. Like you do the very, very basic sketch of what the plan is, and
Sure.
And we've had that for a while, and that really focuses on like what it's technically going to be, like how are we going to structure the game technically, and then it was, well, what is this going to be genre wise? Maybe this, what is this going to be like creatively? This could be anything. This could be another Shovel Knight video game. This could be like starring a totally new character. This could be a racing game and not have characters or something like that. So, we talked about like that for a while, and today was sort of like one of the last pitches for something that we're going to do. And it went well, and so we have some good ideas.
Oh, that's awesome! I can't wait to.
Sorry, I'm trying to be super vague.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I will wait anxiously.
Yeah. And like just given all the things that y'all have gone through, with Shovel Knight, like for the past 6 years, like, what were some of the biggest challenges that y'all had to face when making the games? Like, I'm sure there must have been tons of things that you had to go through. Like,
there's definitely lots, and each game had its own challenge, right? So, like with Shovel Knight, when we started with Shovel of Hope, we later renamed. The original Shovel Knight campaign, like I said, we did that Kickstarter, right? We got $300 something to fund it. Well, a bunch of that went to taxes, right. And then a bunch of that went to like just getting the office and like, and then like paying our salaries for the next year or so. But like we ran out, like we ran out of money in, I think, January or February of 2014, and we didn't release until June. And so for like, 4 or 6 months between that time, I borrowed money from my mom, I like, wow. I had like to figure out a way to feed my wife and brand new baby daughter. It was a little scary, but we knew that once we released the game, we could sell it, and we could at least like take a normal salary for a little bit, and that would tide us like. Then it was like, well, even if like it doesn't really do well, we can at least take enough salary to cover us until we like apply to real jobs, Right. Like if this totally fails. But it didn't fail, and we were able to take normal salary at once post-launch by a couple weeks. It was actually a little scary because when you release a game, I can't really get into specifics too much, but basically like it's pretty standard practice for companies to pay on like a they call it net 30 or net 60. Basically, like you don't get paid every single time someone buys the game, right? You get paid in big lump sums. And so when in one of the distributors we released the game on, it was like every 3 months. And so if we had released the game, like I think we were like coming up with the cutoff. We released June 26th, and I think the cutoff was like July 2nd or something like that. And so if we had released the game like a week later, we wouldn't have seen like any money for it for another 3 months. And so it was we couldn't like survive that. And so it was crazy. Definitely coming down to the wire. But eventually we were able to take some money and like actually have a job again and buy things that weren't fast food. Wow. But yeah, there's challenges every single time. There's working a lot of overtime in Shovel of Hope and Play Shadows, which we stopped doing after that. Spectre of Torment, that was just like we were trying to do 2 games at once, and eventually we had to stop doing the second game and focus only on Spectre Knight, and then King Knight just kind of kept dragging on, and we kept we kept running to just like the scale of everything. So yeah, every game had its own really unique and difficult challenges to face.
Now, with that being said, like, how have you managed to give each of those like games its own feeling and voice, despite their overall similarities? Like, how'd you handle that?
Yeah, I guess it was spending all that time. It really does take like time to just sit down and ask questions like, is this fun? Should we restart this concept? Like, is the mobility even working? Like for a long time, King Knight had a uh, a melee attack besides his bash, and it was like we just had to have this basic thing so you can just do a thing without pushing you to the side, and that's scary. And so like we went back and forth for a long time, and for a long time we during Spectre Night there was we didn't have that like that tear that appears over the enemies, the targeting tear, and so it was hard to tell like what was going to happen when you got close to somebody.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, that's like that thing is like the one of the few things that like really made Spectre Knight work, and we actually patented it. It's like officially patented.
Nice.
So don't copy it.
No, that's we won't. I gotta say, yeah, for something that because Spectre Knight is one of those like mechanically it's one of those the most disconnected from anything that we kind of experienced before. Like we've seen dashing and such in games, but the up and down dashing relative to where you are close to people, I'm so glad that you added that.
Yeah, it's really fun, right? Yeah, we we spent a long time trying to figure out like what's a cool way to be effortlessly cool. You know, we saw after Shovel Knight came out and it was like it's a hard game, and then Play Knight came out and it's like it's way too hard. This is like a difficult game. Like, well, what can we do to make Spectre Knight easier?
Oh, okay.
And so, without making it like dumb easy, it's sort of like the mechanics kind of put you in positions that where you're not like putting yourself in peril all the time. Plague Knight was all about just like being an expert and learning how to like really master that mobility.
Yeah.
Spectre Knight was sort of like you can do whatever you want and you'll look awesome when you do it.
I gotta be honest. Like I thought Plague Knight was the hardest to learn because you know, actually in the very beginning when I had to learn how to jump with the bomb mechanic, I was like, oh, okay, this is. Even at the very beginning, I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this? And I had to restart that, you know, the very beginning of the level. And go, oh, okay, you have to hold the button. I'm like, oh, got it. And I thought it was pretty unique, and I didn't expect it because like I played the original back in 2014. I was like, okay, this is like it's very fluid and like I can jump really high, but with Plague Knight, I'm like, man, like it's kind of hard to jump high. So it took me a little bit. It was pretty cool. Definitely.
Well, that was kind of one of the things like about it is that in Plague Knight, you're going through basically the same levels. Each level has its own little extra dogleg, but you're going through the same levels. And so if you have a mastery of the mechanics really early on, there's like sort of like not new things to experiment with or learn. And so Plague Knight is sort of like the opposite of Shovel Knight, where Shovel Knight is like, you know, his mobility and all of his mechanics in the first 4 or 5 screens. But Plague Knight, you're kind of learning the nuance of how to control a character throughout the whole game. And so it makes it interesting to actually go through those same screens before, where before you had to like touch everything and touch all the ladders and like stand on all the moving platforms. With Plague Knight, you kind of start to learn how to circumvent what's there. And so that's why he's more complicated. He's like, the mastery isn't the level structure, it's him, you know?
Yeah, I felt like the one thing I thought about was timing. Like timing was so important.
Definitely.
So, and then I felt the same way with Spectre Knight too. Like when you like depending on where you are, like you know you up dash or down dash. Like I'm like, oh okay, this is. I just thought it was pretty. It's just so. I mean, even though it's like within the same realm, it's like it's so different, which I think is your biggest strength for the game as the series as a whole. So.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, Spectre Knight was really fun to work on, just because everything you did with Spectre Knight was like really like explosive and fun and fast. And once we started, you know, sanding down the rough edges, it became a really smooth experience overall.
Nice. And early on in the development, was there a moment that you recall feeling like the game was going to be something special? Was there any particular moment that sort of told you, yeah, this is going to catch on fire?
I don't think there was anything specific that was like, we're gonna be a big thing and we're gonna sell way more copies than we think. I was always skeptical of that, actually. I thought we were gonna fail, crash and burn. But I think when you bring it to shows, and like we bring Shovel Knight to PAX East and PAX West a lot, and when you actually go there and you see people playing it, and you see just like their reactions, and you have like conversations with people in line, and they express their enthusiasm for the game you're making and how it reflects on their history, and just hearing their experiences with it, and then later down the line, seeing like kids play it. Those kind of things really help for just like getting a general sense of like how people are going to like it. You know, when there's a huge 35-minute, 45-minute wait to play your game, then you know, like, okay, well, people want this, you know. And we kind of had a sense of that even at the first PAX East. The crowds were crazy. And I don't know. I personally, like, I know I love this game, but I don't know why people also love this game. You know, it's like, it just felt kind of weird. But it's definitely vindicating to see like the reaction to people talking about it, and like the general consensus was like, this is like my favorite game on Kickstarter. This is like what Kickstarter should be, or whatever. And like a lot of that narrative was happening, and that kind of thing just like helped along the way. And so when we ran out of money, I didn't feel the need to go and get a new job. You know, I felt like it was going to be okay, but also like the other part of me was like, it's going to fail. So I don't know. I had to shut up that part of me that was like, you know, the doubting part, and just trust that people were going to love it.
Well, you came out, I mean, you mentioned it a little bit ago. You came out at a kind of a weird time for Kickstarted games, where a lot of games, you know, I'm sure you know, and I don't need to mention them specifically, but a lot of games didn't really meet their goals, kind of disappointed a lot of people. First of all, just as a personal note, the fact that you guys actually carried through and made sure to meet each stretch goal is admirable, and honestly,
it's impressive for sure. Like,
I'm really happy you guys actually carried that
was
out.
a promise we made.
But overall, so when you start seeing the crowds and this coming in, what did you attribute the game's success to? Did you ever like really whittle it down, like, this is why this game is catching so many people like this?
I think at the time, there's probably a few factors, right? Like at the time, there hadn't been a really like galvanizing indie game for a while. There hadn't been a Mega Man game that people liked a lot for a while.
Right.
There hadn't just been like a simple like, this is fun just because it's like a platformer and it's fun. You know, like it's hard to find other platformers out there that are just like, you can play it and it's fun, it's hard, but not like crushingly difficult. It's like got appealing characters that like you can show to your mom or whatever, and she's like, oh cool, that's cute, honey. It's not like, I don't know, like it just like fits the slot of the niche that it is. You know, it's a kids game that appeals to all kids of all ages. It's sort of like a game that no one's like ashamed to say that they like, because for whatever reason, it's got pixel art that reminds you of like your favorite games in the NES era. So yeah. I think it just like it hit all the things that we were going for, and hit all the things that like people kind of needed at that time. And but there's lots of games like that just like kind of don't get the fame and recognition that Shovel Knight did. And so I can't attribute everything to just us. There is definitely a portion of it which is like luck. You know, like it's very lucky that we came out in March and not in February with our Kickstarter, because of how PAX East went. It's very lucky that we were like one of the last few Kickstarters before like after our Kickstarter like hit news articles and stuff. There was a bunch of articles, I think in like April or May, where like, you know, Kotaku comes out and like, we're not going to be talking about Kickstarters anymore, and here's why. And like,
wow,
same thing. It was like, oh geez, like, you know, we kind of just made it in there. And there was a bunch of like just, you know, factors that were totally outside of our control that providentially just made it so that we could like succeed in our space. So I feel very, very, very thankful that we were able to do that, and very lucky.
Yeah, and you know, like there's a lot of things that we love about the series and like especially the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
With Jake Kaufman and excuse me if I butcher this, hopefully I don't. Manami Matsume or
Mm-hmm.
Matsume, they did a phenomenal job in creating some of the best chiptune music we've ever heard.
Oh yeah.
And with that being said, how did it feel when you first heard that, like what they did and placed it in the game? Like that must have been like amazing.
Definitely spoiled. I've heard Jake's music for a long time, and it's always been amazing. And but even then, having heard and been a fan of Jake for a long time, because he worked at Me Forward as well for a while, and
I see. Yeah.
when he first delivered the songs to Shovel Knight, it was like, oh my god, these are so amazing. Like this is like so good. I've heard other stuff like he's done, and he just knocks it out of the park. And he does it so authentically and with such like genuine enthusiasm. And so it's like we first heard Pridemore keep the song for that, and that was like it really was awesome. It really worked, and then we heard the trailer music, and it was like, oh my god, this is like exactly what is this is like gonna be amazing. The trailer sucks without that music. It's so good. And once the music was in, especially for the trailer, it was like, oh, this is like really, really, really real. We have to make this good. I feel like I have to live up to Jake's talent and his skill. And then working with Manami, we didn't personally work with her. She worked with Jake actually. But
okay.
When that happened, so that kind of happened in a weird way. We during the Kickstarter, we got a message from Mohammed Taher. He's in charge of a company called Brave Wave, and his goal was to bring to do what he did, which is to bring like classic composers from video game era, NES era, the SNES era, into more modern times, and so his idea was to introduce Manami Matsume, the original composer for Mega Man 1, and hook her up with us. And so we just got this message out of the blue on Kickstarter. It's like, hey, I had this opportunity. And we were like, you're a scam. There's no way. There's no way. And then we just kept talking, and it was real. And then like she sent a sample over, and I was like, I don't know. This sounds cool, but is this like, are all the arpeggios aligned or whatever? And I have no music experience, And so I was like, Jake, we're like, Jake, listen to this. Is this good? And he was like, oh yeah, no, this is great. And so
Nice.
we kind of kept going, and then she eventually delivered the final song. He was really impressed, and we were all like really into it. And he like kind of remixed it a little bit to be in more in the style, because hers is more simplistic and strongly focused on a single melody, and Jake has a lot of like action and movement in his, and so like he brought those two together, and the songs that she wrote are some of the best on the soundtrack now. So
that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And eventually we got to meet her and like actually shake hands with her and give her a big hug, and she's awesome.
Nice.
So very talented. She did a concert with Jake at a really small venue, and it was a good time.
I am so jealous right now, but it's okay.
That's cool.
Nice. And, we're sure you know this. The indie scene has changed a lot in the past 6 years. But with that in mind, have you, as a development team, have you guys changed the way you develop each of the campaigns to keep it fresh and exciting for you guys as a developer and also for the fans?
It's weird because we do see these as different games, but because they are so built on the last game, or at least like they're all in the same engine, they're all using the same code base, they all share a lot of assets, they don't actually feel like we're reevaluating our workflows and stuff. And so we are like making constant changes and coming up with new tool tweaks and adjusting our workflow in small ways. But the productions have felt more or less just like 4 of the same kind of level of production. That said, we have hired more people, and so like we can offload some of the stuff that kind of distracted us. And so for a while, like in the beginning, when there's only 5 of us during production, we were all in charge of everything. Like I had to arrange for health insurance and property insurance, and somebody else was
Whoa.
like in charge of
Oh,
like
wow.
talking to the bank, and
lot of
somebody
hats.
else was like the lawyer contact, and so like all the nonsense, like the operations stuff, we've been able to hire and get somebody else to handle that, and let alone like any future business to business kind of dealings, that kind of stuff. Like we've been able to like separate from game production, and it's been nice. It's been really, really nice.
you get to just like start focusing on making games.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I imagine that's a nice break from the HR stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it may be kind of hard for you guys to see this, you know, from the inside, but from the outside, you guys have been growing and improving with each release. Like seriously, each one is a little more fleshed out, a little more user friendly and playable and awesome. Like Shovel Knight was awesome, but getting the ability to play all four kind of back to back now has been really cool, because you know King of Cards is a completely different game than Shovel Knight. With that said, is there anything like after making these other three campaigns and the fighting game and everything that you've done on it so far, is there anything that like if you could go back that you would add or change about the original Shovel Knight?
Oh, the original Shovel Knight. There's a few art things that would change. So one thing is the Shovel Knight's stance is only 15 pixels wide, and I would make it 16 pixels because that became kind of a standard.
Gotcha.
Spectre Knight's a little hunched forward, and so that when he runs into collision, his head's sort of like in the wall. There's like small animation stuff that kind of got out of hand, and a bunch of like backgrounds that got too detailed that would kind of like go through and make everything kind of like feel more homogenized to a certain extent. But I think also it's hard to say what we should go back and change, just because like each one sort of does feel like it's growing from the last one, and so the improvements are kind of felt a little bit. I wish that it sort of felt more consistent, but in general, I'm really happy with where the treasure trove is sort of at. But there's like really small nitpicks that you can always just like go back and tweak and change that I feel like I want to.
At this point, it's a classic, so don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just based off your answer, I really like the attention to detail. I mean, you mentioned like from 15 to 16 pixels. I'm like, when you nitpick in that sort of way, you know that you have a good product. Like, I think that's great. Like,
Yeah, no, either that or that I'm like a neurotic, obsessive person.
No, it's. I think it attributes to just the dedication and how hard you guys work to get to where you guys are at. And I mean, like Daryl mentioned, like obviously people love Shovel Knight as a character. I mean, he has shown up in dozens of other games, including other indie games, crossover fighting games, his own amiibo, and even Super Smash Brothers. With that being said, can you talk about how some of those appearances happened? Where can we expect to see him pop up next?
Oh, I think the answer to that is everywhere.
Good.
Like,
Excellent.
Nice.
We have no problem shoving him in every place. But in general, where collaborations and stuff usually come up when, as far as like cameos go, somebody will reach out and say, "Hey, we want to put Shovel Knight in our game," and we'll say, "Cool." We'll, for the most part. Sometimes we say no, but that's just like we evaluate it as we go. And usually it's like just he's just like sitting in the background. We don't mind just like letting someone do it. But if it's like some deal and like you're buying his skin in something, then it gets more complicated. But for the most part, it's just like
gotcha.
we like that people are excited for it, and like seeing Shovel Knight in some big giant game like Smash Brothers. We're like really excited just to see it there. So it's mutual shared excitement. We like seeing Shovel Knight out there. He's been in like I think close to 30 games. And some of them are really just small background things. You find like a cartridge that has Shovel Knight on it, or some are like in Rivals of Aether, he's like fully playable and he's this whole character. Or Brawlhalla, there's like a whole set of them, and they're all skins for the with like one has a unique weapon. So,
Yep.
And so there's like we love all of it, and all of it comes from like us being excited for the game.
Yeah, so he's now in 4 Smash-like games, including Showdown and actually Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yes.
He's if I'm remembering correctly, he's the only character that appears in a game with Banjo-Kazooie and ukulele, which is really funny. He's just everywhere. He connects all these universes, so it's fun to see.
And you know, we have 2 cameos in our game too. We have Kratos and Battletoads and
That's right.
Corey Barlog he's the director and like the head of God of War at this point at Sony Santa Monica. He declared that Kratos' inclusion in Shovel Knight was canon to the God of War universe.
Oh wow!
So like Shovel Knight connects like God of War and Banjo-Kazooie, you know?
God of War and Kirby. There's the
totally.
Oh, man.
Beautiful.
So you said you guys are playing or you're playing the Treasure Trove on your Discord server. I'm actually really curious, where, for people that haven't played, where are they starting? Are they starting at Shovel Knight, or are they starting at Spectre Knight? Like,
yeah, so we had a couple people who had never played the game before. I heavily recommended that they start with actually Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope, just because I feel like every other story kind of colors that one in a little bit.
Definitely.
Whereas if you were to start with Spectre Knight, you know, it may give you kind of a different shading of what Shovel Knight is. I figured start with the original. What I actually did. So I played through the original again. I had just finished up King of Cards because I couldn't wait on that one. And then I jumped to Spectre Knight, and then I jumped back to Plague Knight because Plague was traditionally the one I always considered my personal favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like the way he freaking like just flies through the levels once you get good at controlling him it's just really entertaining, and I was curious if it would still hold up. Yep, it still's my favorite. So there you
great.
go.
Wow, that's awesome.
I love Plague, and I love the story, just everything about it.
Yeah, I guess for me it was like Daryl. Like I played Shovel Knight from the when first time it came out. I played on the PC. I loved it, and then other games got in the way. Then I stopped, and then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna get Treasure Trove on the Switch. So I bought it on the Switch, and then I played through, and I gotta say, I thought that I would still love Shovel Knight as my number one, but I really do like King of Cards. My favorite. Two things I really liked. I liked how the levels are a bit shorter. So I think there's a lot more. I think that's the whole saying short and sweet, and also the card game was great. Like, I was just trying to get as many cards as I can and try to build the best deck ever.
Oh, that's really, really good to hear. I'm glad. Yeah. I always love hearing people who like really resonated with the card game, because that was definitely the thing that we're like not sure of. It was we made it so that it's totally optional. Like, you don't have to play a single game of cards,
right?
Because we didn't want that to be a thing that people felt like they had to do. But also, it's really fun to play a card game sometimes, and so we try to make it as deep as possible while not being super necessary. So I'm glad to know that you resonate with that.
Yeah,
it was just so out of left field.
Yeah,
it took me a minute to click with it, and then I realized the depth that it actually has, and I'm like, oh wow, I need. Like, if you get back into like mobile app development or something, just seriously give me like an internet connected Joustus game, and I'd be all set.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're constantly thinking about ways to extend Joustus, and then like maybe we'll put Joustus in all of our future games. Like whatever you play next might have a Joustus game.
I'll tell you what. Like, if you release a physical version of Joustus, I'm 100% in.
Oh
and,
yeah.
Like, the thing for me, yeah, thanks. And the thing for me about Joustus was that it reminded me so much of Final Fantasy VIII's Triple Triad, like, because that was one of my favorite things about the game, and I was like, man, like, this is perfect. I get to play a platformer and a card game at the same time. Like, yo, this is like so wild.
I was noticing my playtime on the campaigns. It's like 7 hours, 7 hours, 7 hours, 25 hours. I was like, what?
Yeah, a card game will do that to you.
Oh.
Yeah, Triple Triad was definitely one of the places that we started from. We were like, hey, let's make a game that's like physical and interactive, like, Triple Triad. We played, there's a board game, or I don't know if you call it a board game, but a tabletop game called Hive, which involves these tiles that kind of move around and have their own like characteristics and mobility. I
Right.
highly recommend that game. You play as little bugs. And it's like you play the ant tile, and the ant tile, he can like crawl around the outside of the hive, which is a collection of other bugs. The cricket can jump in a straight line. So like having game pieces that had personality and traits was something really appealing to us. And so we tried to make every card have its own thing. Like the the sign knife, it pushes left and one up or down, I forget which, and then it flips. And so like as it's going through the board, and it auto moves, so it looks like it's moving the way it does in the game. So we had a lot of fun with that.
Oh, that's that's
awesome.
crazy.
Wow.
Some of the later cards there that do the automatic moving and flipping and stuff, I was like, that's a bit much for me.
They're so chaotic.
I'm gonna stick with my my nice little corner pieces and call it a day. So yeah. No, we just kind of mentioned it. So Shovel Knight kind of told a story, and then each campaign since then has definitely filled it in and added more backstory and stuff. Was all that story and the saga kind of planned out from the beginning, or have you kind of learned it as you went through development?
So we had the story done for Shovel Knight. That was like we built that for Shovel Knight, right? And then as we approached Plague Knight, we kind of started over. And so with each campaign, we sort of like took what was there and where the hooks were and kind of made a new thing. For Plague Knight, it was like, hey, let's make the Lion King 1.5, where it's like told from the from the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa. And it turns out that they're the heroes at the end. Let's do that. Let's make a Plague Knight that's like he's telling the other side, like you're gonna walk under the town and see Shovel Knight above, but you were hiding in the sewer the whole time. That's Plague Knight. And so like we tell the story from his perspective, and then for Spectre Knight, it's like, hey, let's take a step back away from the romantic kind of story of sort of appealingly goofy scientist and tell more of a tragedy, and so we and kind of bring it back to it being a story of redemption. And so we told the story of Spectre Knight, and we set up small things like in Plague Knight's game you find the locket, and the locket is like a huge deal in Spectre Knight's campaign, but at the end of Plague Knight you realize that you kind of stole it from Spectre Knight, and so when you see it in Spectre Knight's campaign, you kind of like you realize how like important this thing was, and it's like, did they plan this all along? And it's like, no, we just like we knew we wanted to do something with it, and kind of like created the hooks there. There's more hooks that we have that you could latch onto and create your own stories involving like how we've depicted certain characters interacting with each other. Black Knight and Polar Knight at the end of Spectre Knight kind of have a moment, and he's like feeding Terrapin and stuff. Trying to help him get back to health, and so there's little like snippets of things where people have said things and that they kind of like can branch off into their own stories, and it's a little ridiculous because it's like you could just like run wild with that, like the whole like Cooper or the what's his name? The airship enthusiast in Shovel Knight is the chicken with the cane, and he's like, this airship reminds me of the one that I sold back when I was young or whatever, and he sounds like he's like, oh, I wonder what the story is with his airship, and then you play King Knight, it's like, oh my god, it's like his airship, it's the big thing. We didn't plan on that at all. It was just like we want to have an airship, and this guy talks about it, so maybe he's like in charge, and maybe he's like not got a cane yet, I wonder how he gets the cane.
That's so cool.
I'm not gonna lie. I really like the airship thing because I just immediately thought of Final Fantasy. I was like, yes, this is great.
Totally. Yeah. And Jake was like, oh, it should have like when you go up to the airship, it should sound like this specific Final Fantasy song, and he like had it already in his head, and so it sounds like this airship song from Final Fantasy V, I think. I forget which one it is.
That's so cool.
But he made it a real one.
So which campaign story would you say was the most fun to actually complete? Like, which one was? Would it be all the way to the first one, or was it like these filling in the additional details?
Oh man, it's hard to say because it's fun to kind of give satisfaction to all the things that are set up, and it was fun to create all the. I don't want to spoil too much, but like the ending of King of Cards and how it like plays on your expectations, I think was fun. The tragedy of Spectre Knight and like his redemption story, that was fun to like create the moments for it, because I think those moments kind of land really well in terms of like their pacing throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say what. I also like in Showdown we added all these like little stories for each character, and they have little tiny snippets of what could be. And so it was fun. Like the one of my favorites of that one is in Phantom Striker. He visits this mausoleum / grave marker of 3 fallen heroes, and you're like, who are those people? And there's not a question answered there. I think it's interesting to create. That's another hook, by the way. That like if we were gonna make the Phantom Striker story, those 3 characters would fall in and be like major players, right?
The Knights of Striker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're like the Knights of Zorix, right? Like what's the cube of Zorix? And so there's a lot of like stuff that gets set up that's fun to do. So I don't know. Working on the things that are like story focused, it's fun because you can do very little with like a lot of impact. We don't have to do a lot of voice recording or mocap or any of that. We just like set up a couple things and it's more complicated than that, but you get a lot of bang for your buck, I think.
And like, what's your favorite campaign to play? Like, out of all of these, like.
My favorite, I guess, is King of Cards, just because there's so much there. And the card game is really fun.
Absolutely.
I like collecting things. I like to go and explore every inch of the world, and I like how much there is there, and I can forget all of it. I think with Shovel Knight, I've played through that game so many times that I like know every inch. But I think with King Knight, I couldn't. There's just like so much that you keep in your brain. You'll forget. Like you go through the ladder factory and go, oh yeah, like the ladder factory. I can't believe I forgot like this entire screen.
Yeah.
So there's I think there's just more variety and more things there, and I think King Knight's really fun to play as, and he's pretty unique, and he's a big old jerk, and that's fun.
Yeah, I gotta say he's my favorite. Like I had such a good time just going through the campaign and the card game and back and forth, and like even at the ending I was like, man, this guy is I mean, he's like cool and a jerk at the same time. I was like, yo, this is dope.
I think my favorite moment is in all the campaigns is when he tells the running kid to lie. Because I just love how like you think he's just kind of like a spoiled brat, but like what he's saying is it kind of makes sense, and he's like he's a jerk and he doesn't care, and like that moment like really captures like who he is. He's gonna tell a kid to be a bad person, and like he doesn't care, and he thinks it's like a good advice. He's like proud of it, He's like, yeah, just tell everybody that you're the fastest person. Nobody can test you if you don't race them, like no one can find out that you're a liar if they don't test it. And then he like walks away like proud of himself for that. I just love that moment of like corrupting the youth and like how subtle and like not a big deal it is, but he's also like a super jerk. So I just love that.
Then jump back to Shovel Knight, and that kid's like, I'm the fastest. You're like, no, you're not.
Yeah, exactly. he learned that from King Knight.
No, man.
He's like literally the slowest NPC we have, I think.
Yeah.
Nice. And personally, to you, which campaign was the most difficult to work on?
Most difficult? I think it may have been King Knight because of how long it was. I've been feeling like we're just gonna be like done with this game for so long. But I say that, but also what the real answer is Shovel Knight, just because it was like grueling, and we were working 100-hour weeks and not seeing our family and just like dying, and it was like not sustainable. So I think that was definitely the hardest. But creatively, it was hard to like stay enthusiastic through all of King Knight's development because it was so long, and but there's always stuff to do. So I don't know. Definitely Shovel Knight. Yeah, and that was also like in Shovel Knight, we didn't have a real office. We were like, we had an office, but like we were in a partitioned warehouse that had no windows, and so like we were in this like little cement cube and we painted the walls light blue, so it always felt like daytime, and you had no idea what time it was ever. And so you're just like eternally working. A lot done.
Wow.
I guess.
Dang.
All right, so to jump from the most difficult, what was some of the most fun moments that you had working on any of the games?
One of the funnest things to do in all of the campaigns was to name things, because we don't come up with a name with the initial design. The initial design is just like a really quick sketch, a scrawl, and then it becomes a sketch, and then it becomes assets, and throughout all of that, there's no like necessarily thought to the name. You know, famously, the birder, that blue like lightning-y bouncing bird thing, is called Angle Bouncer, because we needed a thing that bounced on angles but had no idea what it was going to look like, and so we created the assets sort of like with that in mind, and then later it like became a birder. And so like we had we'll have like lots of meetings where we'll sit down and we have a big list of the working in progress name: Angle Bouncer, Encroacher, Bug, Iron Knight, and which is not Iron Knuckle, like those kind of things. And it's like, and then we'll sit there and like we'll make dumb jokes, and we have docs and docs filled with just the dumbest names for things. It was really hard to think of a name for Joustus, so there's like 150 pitched names for that, and we just all went through those. For a while, it was going to be called Gemboozled or Gemboozle. Yeah, and that's why somebody says Gemboozled in the game. Like I think Toter says I've been Gemboozled. I don't know. So that's like a reference to that internally. But there's tons of just like fun and having thesaurus.com open and just like, well, it's a game about like pushing and a game about gems, and it's like in the story it's a farce, and in the the whole thing is like you got cards, and so like what can that be? It's like you're pushing the cards, and you want to push them longer, so let's call it push longer. It's like we can't call it push longer. There's a word in there we're not supposed to say. And so there's like a lot of like back and forth, like what that could possibly be, and some of the names were Claymore, I think was one of them, because like you're claiming territory, like you're claiming more than your opponent.
Oh, I like that. I think I mean, from what you've been saying, I think Joustus was the right call.
Potentially.
Just worked perfectly, honestly.
I mean, there's always like ideas that come up. Like one of in Showdown. We never really landed on a great name, but it's Big Hits is the name of the mode. And what happens when you hit somebody, you knock them really far away, and so for a while we were calling that Far Knockers. And we can't ship that, So we had to figure out a different name, and Big Hits is what we landed on. But yeah. A lot of that stuff remains in some part of the code somewhere.
I'm extremely curious about Troupple, but I think I'm gonna.
Troupple was Troupple from the beginning.
Oh. Was he really?
Yeah. Somebody, a couple of us saw. There's a company that ships apples called. Either they're the trout apples or the salmon apples. They're an apple company that uses a fish for their logo. And that was just the weirdest, dumbest thing to us. And so this idea of a half-fish apple creature kept getting drawn. And then we made it like this, like a forest spirit, god of the ancient forest.
He's so cool, though.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said it correctly. A lot of people say Truple or Truple.
Well, it even warns you in the game not to say Trouble, so...
Yeah, there
we go.
Know. It's Troupple, like mouthful.
So the lead night for each new campaign was voted by your Kickstarter backers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you had to do one more campaign to really round out Treasure Trove, because we know it doesn't have enough content already,
Really round it
but
out.
you personally Nick, you got to choose the main character from anybody remaining, who would you choose?
Polar Knight, probably.
Nice.
Polar Knight is like, because he would have to change so much, right? He could not go through any of those
huge
levels. He's so big. Like, how would we even do it? And so that's just like a fun idea. Like, would he slide under everything, or just like bash through things? Would he like? Would his game be totally a different kind of game? Would you play as a young Polar Knight and he's actually just 2 tiles tall? Yeah.
He's also got a lot of story potential with the backstory with Shovel and Black Knights and Shield Knight.
Definitely. Like, why does he have a shovel? That's weird. We never explained that at all. So, yeah, I think Polar Knight would be my answer. To really round off treasure trove, like
yeah. Because like I said, it doesn't already have enough of your life in it.
You already spent. You admitted you spent 46 hours already playing this, and you didn't even talk about Showdown.
Yep.
You want more.
Speaking of Showdown, who's your favorite character?
Showdown, Liquid Samurai. So
okay.
For a long time, I was like, he was like one of the last guys that we announced. So we were show off the game though, and people would be like, who's your favorite character? Like, do you love Treasure Knight? And I'd be like, yeah, he's cool. but Liquid Samurai is the coolest. He can like go on the ceiling and yeah, he's just a big troll, and I love him. He's fast and he's great.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Good
I
stuff.
think for me, maybe Mona. I like playing as Mona.
That Mona is. Sean's our director. He's a Mona main for sure.
I think I just like her character though. So
yeah, exactly. She's awesome, but she's got a lot of versatility. Man, you can like knock those potions really far, and she's great.
So maybe the last question about the actual character. So where does Shovel Knight go from here? Obviously, we know Shovel Knight Dig is coming out soon. Is that the start of his Super Nintendo era, or does the next step remain to be seen? Can you share anything?
Well, we definitely are not. We are not putting Shovel Knight to rest. There's always going to be a Shovel Knight thing.
Nice.
And so, yeah, Dig is how we're doing that right now that we've talked about. There could be other ways that we haven't talked about yet. It's all secret. And yeah, I don't know. Going into the Super Nintendo era, like, Dig is good for that, right? Like, the guys at NintendoJump are really talented. The model creation guy, he like a guy who like makes the models and he does some animation, is named Gustav Kilman. He's been like a pixel hero to me for a long time, and the animators there, like really good. Marcus is the animator there. He's like extremely talented. Like everybody over there is super talented, and so I'm happy to let them handle the higher resolution pixel art because I don't want to. High res pixel art is so hard. And they just do such a good job out of it. So they can handle it. I don't want to do a Super Nintendo Shovel Knight. But, we talked about in the past doing a 3D platformer would be really fun. Some other ideas have definitely come up, like doing an RPG, and I don't know if we'd do a Shovel Knight RPG, but that would be fun. So we have ideas for like other games to do. Oh yeah. I think I would just love to do an RPG in general. Like, I love that genre, and I think we could like bring a lot to the table because I feel like that genre is kind of, like, for me personally, the RPG genre is kind of stale. I think we could do some things to make it really fun. So, and then I would also just love to do big art for an RPG, because you can just like do a big giant thing and like not have to animate it.
Yeah.
And I'm like a pretty lazy person, so that'd be really good.
Or like animate it like 3 frames, not like
exactly
50 frames. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to do something like I love it in Phantasy Star. It's so awkward, but like in Phantasy Star 1, you have like the big, like the backs of your characters and like the big monsters, and then like they awkwardly animate at you. Something about the jankiness of that is really appealing, and so I think that'd be kind of fun. Or like I guess the one that people know better is like Mother 3 or that, like Earthbound, like that kind of, like, you have a character and like your character shows up on screen a little bit with the RPG stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think where we're going from here is just like trying to figure out ways to make our company grow and evolve and not just be like the pixel guys, you know? Like we want to make different genres and different kinds of games. And there's, if you look at our jobs page, you might get a hint at what we're doing in the future. So
Ooh.
that would be... Also, we're looking for people to hire.
Let me write that down real quick. Okay.
There we go.
So, you know, you guys were actually a launch title on Nintendo Switch, which was huge because there were only like 5 games out at the time.
Yeah, we know.
So Spectre Knight, I'm assuming was absolutely huge for you guys. What do you personally think about the Switch? Is that a platform you're going to continue to prioritize in the future? How was it working with Nintendo, that kind of thing?
Definitely, Switch is the best. I love having the Switch. I love being able to take it out of the dock and just kind of play with it somewhere else. If I want to play the game, I don't have to like turn my TV on and walk away from, you know, what I'm doing on my computer. I can just like kind of bring it over there, and then like if I'm watching a stream or whatever, I can keep doing that and I kind of like have that in the background. I can bring the Switch wherever I want. It's eternally multiplayer. If like somebody has a Switch dock set up and I have my Switch, I can swap them out, and that's a really, really easy to do.
It's so nice.
It's so good. I love that console. And it's a good blend of being mobile and also you know, at home station dock thing. So I love the Switch. I want to keep making games for it. It's definitely like one of the main SKUs for what we're doing next, and so it's the fact that you can just like have multiplayer right away is so interesting and cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're gonna be the company that fully utilizes that, you know, but like I love that there are games that are being made for it like that. Like the gimmicks for the Switch work well, you know. Like the gimmicks for the Wii and the Wii U were like kind of lackluster to me because it wasn't like, I don't like
you don't like
accelerometer, and I don't like a giant thing in my hands. Although I do like 2 screens, you know, that's fun. But for the most part, like that kind of fell flat, and like other consoles don't do gimmicks, or if they do, they're bad. But like the Switch is like, those are the things like that I want to see do well, you know. So I love the Switch.
That's awesome that you love playing on your Switch. But what is currently your favorite Nintendo Switch game?
Baba's You.
Oh, what a good pick.
That's
Baba is You. The guy who makes that also made my favorite Metroid game called Environmental Station Alpha.
Okay.
If you haven't played that, that is like my favorite Metroid game. Maybe more than Super Metroid.
Oh, wow.
It's so good. It's really fun.
I have to write that down too.
Here we go.
You do have to accept that the frame rate is not super great because he made it in like Multimedia Fusion or something. But it's a really fun game, and I can't wait for him to make a second one. I was like really sad that he was making this Baba Is You thing.
Oh, then it's great though.
I know, but I've been wanting ESA 2 for so long, and then he like put it out, and I was like, oh wait, Baba Is You is like awesome. And so that's the thing that's like on my Switch currently that I've been playing, and I'm really far into it, and like I'm at the point where I have to like do one puzzle, and it takes like an hour. It's like so hard,
and it makes you feel dumb because you only have like 6 options. But
I just like, what is going on? Like I did a puzzle the other day that I've been trying for the past like 3 sessions to finish it, and it finally occurred to me that I've been overlooking, you know, I don't have to have this character have push, I can use that elsewhere. Anyway, that game is brilliant, and the fact that he's making a level editor for it is like so awesome. So yeah, Baba Is You the best. Baba Is You is the best.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. What other games not developed by or published by Yacht Club are you guys currently playing or in the office or in your personal time? What else do you want to like highlight?
Well, I like Baba Is You. We play Smash every now and then. I personally have not been playing games lately. I've been spending my time actually streaming. So I Twitch stream art at night.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And yeah, the other guys have been playing like Death Stranding. Has been going through the office. Everybody loves that. recently we've just been playing other games to like think about what games to make, and so like a lot of weird games have been played. Like I said, somebody was playing Phantasy Star online, or Phantasy Star not online, Phantasy Star 1 or 2, and somebody else is playing just a random like Neo Geo Pocket game. Like there's all kinds of stuff that we're like researching. I don't want to like say exactly because that like kind of gives away stuff, but but yeah, we play lots of games and we talk about them all the time. And yeah, I want to finish up Baba Is You. I want to 100% that game. That game is really fun.
Yeah, I love that game. So I guess that kind of wraps up our questions from our side. Is there anything else that you want to let us know that Yacht Club's working on, or that you guys want us to focus on when playing these games, or anything like that?
No, I think when you play King of Cars, there's like a deluge of content. So I don't know if I can highlight anything. There's just like so many things to talk about. But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff that we're still working on, and there's cheat codes out there for the game that I don't think we've revealed all of them. We probably have, but a lot of those have been data mined out anyway. But yeah, there's a ton of cheat codes and like ways to play as different colors, and we made it so that those don't affect your ability to get achievements. So you can still so now you like are allowed to play as those different colors. We took it past at that. We're done with Shovel Knight, but we're not like done with Shovel Knight, So yeah, as we're working on stuff now, I just say just stay tuned for what we're doing. We stream as a company. We're starting to do that again every other Tuesday. And we just had a really quick one 2 days ago, and we're going to have another one in a couple weeks, and it's going to be more involved, and we'll play games, hang out, you can ask questions there.
That's awesome. We'll check you out.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Nick, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Really appreciated your games. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks again, and we definitely look forward to whatever is next coming up.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say on behalf of our Discord community, thank you as well. Like we do have like really huge fans of the series, and it's just really exciting. And yeah, thank you again, and it's been great.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for having a community that's like that values Shovel Knight. I appreciate it.
Only the best. Thanks, Nick. Wow, what a cool interview that was, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
Even on the second listen that we just totally listened to that interview. Oh man.
I'm just blown away by some of the things that Nick talked about, especially the references to Final Fantasy, particular with the Triple Triad.
Oh, you.
Okay, the Triple Triad card game, and for Final Fantasy VIII, which is one of the, well, obviously for me, the most important Final Fantasy ever. And I just, if they can create a physical card game of Joustus, I'm gonna aim to be the first one to pre-order it.
I mean, I'd probably be in on that too.
Yeah.
It's such a cool game.
It is, yeah.
And I think you could really translate it into physical, but yeah, I really enjoyed kind of the look behind the curtain, because I think I mentioned in the interview, Shovel Knight's a really unique game in terms of its actual release schedule and what they've done with that game. So I found it super interesting, and I was happy to hear from the man himself to hear exactly how everything came together. So I was really happy with it. What about you, Serge?
Yeah, it was a very nice look at the inside, the goings on of Yacht Club and the development of the campaigns. So it was pretty great.
I'm staring at my Shovel Knight Fancy Armor amiibo right now.
Nice.
So yeah, with the power that he's giving me, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Hit us up in our Discord. Let us know what you thought, and hopefully good things.
Nice.
But with that, you guys want to talk about Pokemon?
Sergio,
do you want to talk about Pokemon? did something happen about Pokemon? Like, so we obviously we had the direct this morning. I'm not gonna be too coy about it. We had the direct this morning. It was announced a couple days ago that we were gonna have it, and everybody who really likes Pokemon went yes, and everybody who's a real Nintendo fan, but doesn't really like Pokemon just went oh, because we were all expecting like a Nintendo Direct.
Yes.
But I have good news for those of you out there who may be in that second group. A Nintendo Direct almost always follows a Pokemon Direct within about a week. So I am expecting a Nintendo Direct next week. This did not dash its chances or anything like that. So, yeah. So, hold your head up. We'll get through this dark time. But no, actually, the Direct showed off some pretty cool stuff about Pokemon. Sergio, you want to kind of talk about some of your favorite parts?
Yeah, definitely. And overall, I guess, well, the very first thing they showed is actually a remake of the very first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games that came out in 2006. One was for the Game Boy Advance, one was for the Nintendo DS. And they are being remade for the Switch, coming out in March, pretty early. Just one copy of the game, but it looks like a very nicely, graphically stylized version of that game. It's going to be very nice. It's the first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game. I talked about it on a previous episode. Basically, I recommend it to anyone that is looking for a Pokemon game that is very challenging. And I'm talking really, really challenging. Even the story goes places as you go places because of the story. It gets crazy. Things happen. Honestly, Daryl, I think you would enjoy this game if you give it a chance. It's a challenging turn-based RPG.
Here's a demo.
I've played other Mystery Dungeon games. They're pretty. I dig it. I'm okay with that. So, I may check it out. We'll see.
I have the demo downloaded, so I'm gonna be trying it later.
Nice.
Yes. Ooh.
But the biggest piece of the pie, honestly, I'm so surprised. I was not expecting this, and I was not expecting it so soon. I thought it was gonna be all about spin-offs or maybe remakes of a previous generation, but no. Game Freak is going all out with the Galar region and Pokemon Sword and Shield. They basically announced an expansion pass. It's for each game, so you have to buy each one separately if you want all the Pokemon, of course. And basically, you're getting two expansion areas, one in June and one in the fall of 2020. The first one is the Isle of Armor, and the second one is the Crowned Tundra. And they went over a few details of each one. They look pretty nice. They announced new Pokemon, new legendaries. Overall, there's going to be over 200 Pokemon coming back and a couple of new ones for everyone to catch. It's crazy. I was not expecting this at all. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Cub Fu. I don't know, man. It just pulling me in. And I really like the Galarian versions of Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. The Gen 1 birds. I mean, goodness. I don't know, man. Sergio, did you pre-order the expansion pass?
Oh yes, both have been pre-ordered, and the Mystery Dungeon game has been pre-ordered.
Man.
Oh my God.
And guess what? I pre-ordered the Shield expansion pass too.
Nice.
Oh, what am I doing?
And guess what?
Oh yeah.
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't at all.
Oh.
No, in fairness, to be fair, the fact that these two expansions are more in the wild area style than the specific routes, I think is the right direction.
Yep.
And I think over more story, bigger stuff that is more in line with what I actually kind of would want from Pokemon. Is it going to be enough to pull me back into the game? Probably not. But fair enough. Game respects game here. I'm okay with it. I from what I was seeing, I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. and that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it, I think.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's, I know I gave Pokemon Sword and Shield, somewhat of a low rating, but I'm gonna be optimistic about this one, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna catch some more Pokemon, some more. I'm actually very excited about the legendaries, the Galarian versions too, and just just have a ball. And yeah, I mean, I just can't wait. And then there's actually updates on Sword and Shield too. Actually starting today. So definitely get
Hmm.
on that. And you know, I know we have some games down the pipeline before June, but it does give us some excitement to talk about and to have looking forward to in June. So yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, I had this crazy idea when I was getting close to finishing Shield for the second time, by the way. And I
Ooh.
was thinking, well, what if I just keep playing Pokemon games like this ones and old ones and spin-offs, and then just play that and then play Animal Crossing? And then I thought, no, that's crazy. That's not gonna happen. Game Freak is gonna take their time. They're probably gonna make Ultra Sword or a Sword 2 in a couple of years, and then today we get all these crazy news. I was not expecting it so soon. This
Mm.
is this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, same. And I mean, yeah, like I was thinking Pokemon Spear. Like that would have been I wouldn't
Or
mind.
that, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I actually like this better. It's the expansion pass and all that and I'm cool. I wanna know about Mustard, the former champion of, Galar. So, I mean, maybe there's a catch up too, but I'm down for Mustard and yeah, the Kofu man, that Kofu Pokemon looks pretty cool. So, man, I'm all for it. So, yeah, yeah. Ah, goodness, it's pulling me back in again, Sergio. I feel like when we had an episode with just us two, I feel like Pokemon is just grabbing me by the reins. So, oh, I'm ready. But you know,
Oh Lord.
I know. I think about what Daryl said, and very valid. Like, why this whole Pokemon's such a really the most popular franchise right now, or it has been, and it's just like the formula over and over again. But it just brings me back in, and I can't help it.
It's a life enhancer.
Well, okay. I'm gonna reserve my. It definitely is a part of my life for sure. Anyway, you know what? I'm gonna give that demo, the mystery dungeon thing a go, and you said it's pretty challenging, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, that's all I got for Pokemon.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean I feel like they showed a lot, but they didn't really show a lot. So I think that's pretty
Mm.
much all we have right now. But
Yeah.
almost certainly we'll hear more about that as we're getting closer. So
Speaking of
yeah.
hearing, I do want to hear really good music from the expansion pass. So please, like,
Oh,
really,
yes.
because I mentioned before, I love the rival music from Pokemon Shield and Sword. So
Wait, you do?
I do,
Oh,
I
okay.
do. It's a fact. Ah, that's so good. But yeah, Anyway, we can move on. Let's jump into the next topic that we have.
All
And
right.
mhm.
So we're gonna talk about next year.
Okay.
Well, now this year.
Hmm.
We're gonna very specifically talk about some of the stuff that we know is coming, which is honestly not that much. And some of the
Hmm.
stuff that we actually expect to come or predict to come, and then people can use this later on to blackmail us for our terrible, terrible predictions. So there you go. So, and we do have some listener responses, but I'm going to start, with us. I can start it unless you guys want to.
You know what? I got a big one to talk about. You may not expect this, so I'm gonna wait.
Okay. Uh, I'm going to start it, and I don't know if I'm going to start with the biggest one I can think of. I don't know if you guys agree. I don't know how many people agree. Switch Pro. I think the Switch
Yes.
Pro is coming next year. And
Oh.
by
Hmm.
next year, I mean this year, of course. I think it's coming this year, and the reason for that, um, one, we have a couple really big games on the horizon. Breath of the Wild 2 being one, Metroid Prime, whenever that drops, being another one, and I'm sure there's more in there. But also, the Switch is entering the year when it's going to have to compete with the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox Series X, however you're supposed to shorten that.
Right.
Hmm.
So just the timing feels right to me, and I'm not going to say that this is a Switch 2 or anything like that. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference, but kind of in line with like the new 3DS and such. I think it's coming. And I think it's coming this year. And yes, I will trade in my current model again
Nice.
to get the new one again. GameStop, please give me $200 again because that was awesome. Yeah, so that's where I am. Do you guys expect that at all?
Yeah, I'm expecting a Switch Pro to come out, and I mean, I most likely will switch over, along with my 18 Switch Lites. I'm kidding. I don't have any Switch Lites. I'm not getting one.
Yet.
No, I'm not getting one ever. But for those who do have Switch Lites, I think it's take a break. No, I don't. I think it's great that that option is available along with the Switch B2, which Daryl you have had in your possession.
Yeah.
And
Love it.
Yeah,
it's great.
yeah, and speaking of great, like I am looking forward to great games like the highly anticipated Animal Crossing,
Yes.
New Horizons, and if I may say, a couple games that are not part of the Switch lineup, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm not the biggest Final Fantasy VII fan in general because I like 6, 8, 9, and 10, not too bad. But definitely 4. 4 is good. But Final Fantasy VII definitely is important.
And 1, 2, 3, and 5.
And 5, yeah, 5 is good. Okay, we can go on now.
7 and 12 and 15 I know is your favorite.
No,
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure. It's my favorite in terms of the boy band simulator that it is. No, I've talked about it before. I'm not going to talk about it again. But, anyway. So, Final Fantasy VII is definitely an important RPG in video game history. And for it to have a remake, I'm really excited, and I'm trying to avoid, watching the demo that has been leaked and all that, and people talking about it all the time, and people replaying Final Fantasy VII and showing off, like, how awesome they are at playing the game, which is cool, I mean, I personally won't do that, but, the hype is there. I just want the game to come soon, and I need to figure out how I can balance that with Animal Crossing because I don't know how to do that. I don't have a plan.
Hey Sergio, can you tell him how to balance that with Animal Crossing?
Yes, please tell me.
Basically, whatever games you're playing, and then Animal Crossing comes out, and everything stops except Animal Crossing.
Okay, well that's very simple.
Yeah, so that's the answer right there. So Sergio, you have this pre-ordered too, right? Oh, wait.
No.
Ow, okay.
I canceled it so hard when they announced the Mystery Dungeon game pretty much 3 days after. I switched them up. Yep.
Man, that is just, I don't know what to say about that, but I will represent us with Final Fantasy VII Remake when the time comes. Given the advice you just gave me on how to balance, my gaming life at the time, but we'll see. Now, I've talked about this series before, in different ways. But there is one thing that I was super excited for. It was announced actually in mid-December. So there's going to be something called The Legend of Heroes Trails of the Beginning. Okay, now it's announced for the PS4. Now, it will be released during summer 2020 in Japan. And there's no news on North America yet, but I'm very
summer 2021 in North America.
Okay, I don't know. No.
Some of those games are really long localization cycles for whatever reason.
That is a fact. And it's awesome because I'm gonna quote from WCCF Tech. It's a gaming. I believe it's a tech website, and they say here that it will be a turning point that will lead to the series' conclusion and will feature over 50 characters taken from the Trails in the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel, and the Crossbell games, and which have yet to be released in North America and Europe. I mean, well, granted, Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 are out on the Sling platforms, and then Trails of Cold Steel 3 will be out later this year for PS4. But I just hope that in some way.
And then later on for Switch.
And later on for Switch, I hope. And
no, it is.
Oh, it is. Yes. And I'm a little conflicted about that because 1 and 2 are not on the Switch. So then I have to figure out.
Yet.
Well,
That's true.
I'm just saying,
I
if
mean,
there was ever a time to port anything,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah.
Now, that said, Mass Effect 3 is on Wii U and none of the others, so hey, who knows?
yeah,
I
that's
don't
the
know.
thing. And granted for me, I have not played Mass Effect 3 yet. I did play the first two, but that's another story. Anyway, so yeah, Trails and just the Legend of Heroes games. I just want it to have more exposure in 2020, please. I just want more exposure for people to know about these games. And granted that I've started playing Yeast 8, the Lacrimosa of Dana, and it's pretty good so far. And by Nihon Falcom, like the publish, they've, I believe, developed and published it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I just want more people to look forward to and learn about the Legend of Heroes series, because I believe it's a it's an underrated series that just does not get enough love. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to more news in 2020, and Pokemon Shield expansion pass. So
Nice, Serge.
yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, of course, I'm looking forward to Animal Crossing, and it's gonna
What?
be it's
Whoa,
gonna
that's
be a
surprising.
couple of great years, basically, and things are gonna change like crazy. And now we're also getting the Mystery Dungeon game like 2 weeks before that. That's gonna be crazy
A
too.
nice appetizer. Yep.
Yeah.
Yo.
And as far as other Switch games coming out, most likely coming out, I'm
What
still
other Switch games?
basically we're getting on confirmation, and they're kind of like niche games, but I think that's pretty cool. We need a few of those. We're still waiting to hear on Bayonetta 3 and No More Heroes 3.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, I think No More Heroes is scheduled for it. I would expect Bayonetta as well.
Right.
But just looking through what we know, actually like know is coming next year. Animal Crossing, of course. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which I'm
That's right.
super excited about.
Yes, that's
coming
good
now
one.
in summer. It got delayed. It should have been out in
Big
11
time.
days, but
Yeah.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Anyways, but also we now know about Bravely Default 2, which I could not be more excited
Oh,
about.
that's right.
From the developer of Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler, with the original composer from Bravely Default who killed it for that
Yes.
game.
Mhm.
Brand new world, brand new story, brand new characters.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys are a little on the fence on this game or on the series or whatever, Bravely Default has maybe the best battle system of any RPG I've ever played, ever. Period.
Wow. Okay.
By like a mile, and the only one that I'm kind of hedging that might beat it is Octopath Traveler.
Right.
So yeah, this game's gonna have a good battle, good battle mechanics and everything. So yeah, I'm super excited for that and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. And that is mostly the extent of the things we know about. Obviously, we know about Sports Story, which is cool.
Yes.
And Axiom Verge 2,
I
which
almost
is
forgot about that.
planned.
Yeah.
Deadly Premonition 2, a Wii U port of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, that Atlas and Fire Emblem mishmash game.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then that's almost it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't know that much that's coming this year. But we do know a few games that might come this year. So I'm going to play a round of Will They, Won't They? Brand new
Okay.
game I've developed. It's real quick. You tell me whether you think it will happen or won't happen. Metroid Prime 4.
Won't happen. I'm gonna say it
Won't
right
happen.
now. It won't happen.
Won't happen. I could see it surprising everyone, but if that sneaks in this holiday, I'd be super surprised. Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Will happen.
Yes, that is
I'd like to
likely.
say that'll happen as well, just to kind of stay the hype for Metroid Prime
Right.
4. If it's coming next year at some point, maybe like summer of next year or something like that, maybe drop Trilogy late this year,
Mhm.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
Ooh, this year?
Yeah.
Shoot. Will happen in December.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yep.
saying won't happen.
Will happen.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
I think it will.
Oh.
I think that's the big game. It's we don't know anything about it, but I don't really ever view that as a sign of things not being done at Nintendo because they hold things really close to their chest. I think we'll hear more about it very, very soon.
Hmm.
And then Switch Pro, I think we all kind of said yes. So those were my main ones. So that means most of this year, assuming we have another good year from Nintendo, which I expect we will, is hidden in mystery. It's shrouded in illusion. We don't know what's happening. So I'm going to throw a few games out that I think are going to happen. I think this is the year of Pikmin. The triumphant return of Pikmin.
Mm.
Man,
I do.
You know what? I'm a 50-50 on that one. I don't know. That's I'm gonna say no. I don't think it's gonna happen.
All right. So when Pikmin happens, everyone knows where to turn.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay.
Because I did not say Pikmin 4 because I'm leaving myself open to a Pikmin 3 port from Wii U.
Okay, well in that case, dang it.
No, I do. I think so we have a bunch of weird conflicting information. Apparently Miyamoto said a long time ago Pikmin 4 was pretty much done. I think at that point he was probably referencing Hey Pikmin, even though people said he wasn't. I don't know. But it's been a long time, and they have a team internally that I think could have been working on it, and I think it's a really good time, because if you look at this year from Nintendo, Animal Crossing, Pokemon kind of from Nintendo, Zelda maybe. Where's another really strong franchise that they have? Pikmin. And that's just kind of one that fits in. I also think this might be the year of the triumphant return of Mario's sports game.
Yes.
Yes.
Hooray.
Golf.
Yes.
I think golf is coming.
You know, for those who have heard of golf or want to know how to play it,
we gotta stop going back to this well.
This is for you. You should play it if they come out. Yeah.
I think Mario Golf is coming. I think that's almost a hole-in-one at this point. And I'm curious whether we would also see something like a Mario Super Sluggers or
Super Mario Strikers.
Well, so Strikers is kind of weird because the traditional developer on that just wrapped up Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah. Dang it.
So.
Okay.
Oh, I got one more game for Will They Won't They.
Oh.
This ever rumored other IP from Retro Studios.
Ooh.
Who are now working on Metroid Prime 4, but we're working on something for the 3 years that they went silent, right? Maybe?
Right.
F-Zero. Da 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 da.
So
jokes.
you don't have to say the actual game. Do you think something from Retro Studio other than a Metroid game comes this year?
Man. I want to be surprised. I better be surprised. I'm just kidding. No. I think so. I think we're gonna see something from them, and it'll just blow us out of the water. So,
to me, it would make sense. So I'm gonna say no. It's not gonna happen.
oh.
I honestly can't make up my mind, so I'm gonna go with my heart and say yes, it's gonna happen. But we'll see. But that honestly, that is almost the end of my list. I'm very eager to be surprised by this year, because generally these years that you go into not knowing anything from are the best years. Like, just surprising things left and right. And I'm looking forward to it. So, especially with the Switch kind of needing to gear up towards some of its biggest competition. Yeah, I'm really hoping that this is another very strong year for Nintendo, and I think they have the games that could make it happen.
Yeah, and you know, with the games, like, there's going to be even more unique games coming out too. And you know, one of the games I'm looking forward to that's already has a release date of January 30th, 2020. You know, as on their Nintendo page, the hottest bird lawyering game to come out of 1840s France. I'm talking about Avery Attorney Definitive Edition.
Oh my god!
Yes, I'm getting it. Okay, like, I want some sort of like attorney style game besides Phoenix Wright. Like, I'm getting it. It's done. I'm ready. So that will fill in for February, including finishing up Yeast 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, and yeah, so that's all I got.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we don't know hardly anything, it speaks volumes that we're getting a direct pretty soon. I'm still surprised we
Yes.
got a Pokemon Direct before a regular Direct, so I can smell one. It's coming soon.
I got one more round of will they, won't they? I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
I keep doing this. 3D Mario game.
I'm gonna say
Hmm,
no. I'm gonna say
new,
no.
new or remake?
Oh.
Either.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. And watch them be wrong.
I'm gonna say yes. A port of 3D World.
I could definitely see a port. I think Odyssey 2 feels a little soon to me. Now, they could do it, but I don't
Hmm.
know. Something about that feels a little weird, but like Mario 64 is sitting right there. I mean, it's right there, guys. No,
Oh,
64
yeah.
could use an update. Sunshine could definitely use an update. 3D World could just use a new life off of the Wii U.
Right.
So any of those three games I would love to see, but we'll see. I don't know. So you guys want to turn over to our actual community, which we put on the spot to give us an answer pretty quick
Here we go.
in the last hour or so. So Protodad said, "I'm stoked for Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake. This is a
Yes.
Nintendo community. Get out of here.
Wait, hold on.
Get
You
out
know,
of here. Boo.
You have said that it's
Shun the
okay
non-believers.
to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake because Cloud is on the Smash games, so I think we can talk about it. Or not.
Anyways.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Waluigi 3030 said, "Switch Pro, please." So,
Yep.
yeah. And then let's see. Oh, ProDad came back with another one. Breath of the Wild 2 Switch Pro launch November 2020. Please with like 4 S's. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be.
That's how you know it's a real please right there.
Nice. And Lama Libre tells us that he's looking for some Nintendo features to be expanded upon, something with the friend menu or other items to be expanded on this Switch. He's also looking forward to Animal Crossing and to Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. He's hoping that it
Yes.
turns out pretty good.
Oh man, I just hope that game is good. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Square Enix remasters a lot of the time. Now they've gotten better. But we're the days of mobile ports of the old Final Fantasy games are still pretty new to me. So
Well, there is Final
please don't
Fantasy.
screw up my favorite one.
Well, there's Final Fantasy VIII remastered.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully it got really good reviews. I didn't actually look at that yet, but yeah, I'm optimistic. I think Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is gonna be great. I mean, I'm gonna.
I
Be
hope
optimistic about
so.
that. And I want to play
such
it
an
too.
important game for me, so
Absolutely, yeah.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Naprat says, I guess I'm still looking forward to more info on future 3D Zelda and 3D Mario. Pretty
Sweet.
basic. It's not really all that basic. But we don't know that much about Breath of the Wild 2 or about remakes or ports for the old Zelda games, which is a good point because the Wii U had a bunch of them.
Yes.
And between the Wii U and the 3DS for sure. Or about an Odyssey 2 or Sunshine HD or 3D World Deluxe. Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what? I gotta say, I really hope it's gonna be a stretch. I want a game with Gino in it, man. Just one game with Gino.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, like he's the myth, the legend, the OG. I mean, just like I just want to see that person thing, puppet thing again. Like I want to see it. I just want to see that doll again. I want to see that awesome doll again.
That'd
Nintendo.
be cool.
Yes.
And Square.
And Square. Yeah. Let's see.
Nice. Forest Dragon also said it's hard not to look forward to most to Animal Crossing, and he says that if his prayers are finally answered, we're getting the next Mario baseball game, Switch Hitters.
That's
That
actually
subtitle
yes.
makes me want that.
Yeah.
That's such a good subtitle.
Yo, shout to Forest Dragon. I mean that. Yeah, and it's actually a position in baseball, like a switch hitter. Yeah. Great. Now I want that game now. and for those who have heard of baseball, this might be the game for you.
Dude, no.
No. Okay, it's outstayers welcome. I'll stop. But I mean, I think a Mario baseball game would be great. Personally for me, I don't watch as much baseball as I used to, but if it's a Mario game, man, I mean, hell yeah, sign me up. So,
Man, I would really want a new Rhythm Heaven or a WarioWare game, but I feel like it would be one or the other. I
Well,
mean,
it's
I
the
would
same
want one
team.
of each, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the
yeah.
same team, so I think they're going to be at least competing with themselves. But I have to think something's in development there.
Right.
I would probably go for a Rhythm Heaven game.
I would.
There,
Yes.
I love
Yes.
that series so much. No offense to WarioWare, I like that series too, but Rhythm Heaven is like such a fun game.
Yeah.
Dragon says, I predict Pikmin finally gets its due and a new 3D Mario Odyssey 2 or a remaster in some form will get announced. A new 2D Metroid game from the Mercury Steam developers. Actually,
Ooh.
I really like that
Yeah.
call. That's a good call. And then Mario Golf, if everything is right and holy in the world.
Yeah, that
he's,
would be great.
he's a huge fan of Mario Golf, so yeah.
He is. Actually, he played competitive too. I remember
Yeah.
him talking about it, and he got, was it the green jacket? I mean, well, in golf, when you win a tournament or like a prestigious tournament, you are awarded this lovely green blazer jacket thing, and
Lovely in the biggest air quotes I can give it right now.
lovely, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Mario Golf would be great. I think that seems the most realistic out of the sports games, besides soccer, or excuse me, football.
Yeah, because it's been a little bit since Mario Tennis Aces.
Yeah.
That game has been updated, but it's not been like drastically updated or anything. So they could have been working on Mario Golf this whole time.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, so that actually seems like I said it. I keep wanting to say a slam dunk, but it doesn't seem like a slam dunk. It seems like a hole in one. So
Well,
there you go.
Oh, you know what? No. Leave slam dunk, because I do want a Mario basketball game, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, even though I am a huge basketball fan, I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm gonna say no. It's not gonna happen. Prove me wrong, Nintendo, because that'd be great.
They did once, and I don't think it did that well. So,
Ah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Kevin? You want to pull the last message from Shy?
All right. So, Shy Guy says, I think 2020 will mirror 2019 in structure and outshine it in magnitude. There will be a relatively slow start until Animal Crossing, maybe a port or two to appease the masses. Then, there will be a title or two until June. Things will pick up with major first-party titles. New Smash DLC goes from surprising third-party to more fan-service Nintendo-related characters and charming characters. Odyssey 2 and Breath of the Wild 2 both released along with a second-tier franchise like Pikmin. We finally get MPT, or Mario Power Tour. Is that right? Yeah.
Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Oh, is it?
Come on.
Oh, my bad. You know what? Obviously, you know what kind of game I would like. All right, please don't put your pitchforks on me. I didn't know people use that as a abbreviation. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Okay, that's my bad. An improved Switch is announced, but doesn't release 2020. We get N64 and
I'm guessing GameCube games with online.
yeah, it's gotta be okay. And the price goes up. We finally get home screen themes. We get a late summer Nintendo sports game, Strikers. That's Bible. There's a first party game none of us see coming, and it's incredible. Splat related. Silk Song releases. Yeah.
Oh yeah, completely missed Hollow Knight Silk Song as a game that we know is coming.
Oh,
and
that's right.
I'm also super hyped for. So there you go.
There we go.
Which, if you remember, I mentioned Hollow Knight. I thought was a masterpiece, but a game I didn't really like that much, which is kind of a weird thing for me. But Silk Song is a game that, oh man, I think that's gonna be fantastic. Like really,
Awesome.
really good. But I just want to say that Shy Guy's list is completely unrealistic. I think he's asking for things that just will not happen, like new home screen themes. I just don't see that happening. And that just kills the whole list for me. So there you go.
Yeah.
I have
Light
to.
or dark, baby. That's it.
Yeah, I think I have to agree actually, because well, no, yeah, because then I think if you have home screen themes, like it can get too cluttered, and it gets like they gotta have to, if they're gonna do that, they have to do a really good job. Like, maybe switching up the UI too, because like,
And he better be glad he didn't put like folders on here or something, because then I just feel no, get out of here, no.
For me, with the menu and just the way the home screen is, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And I think
Yeah,
that
but we totally need the ability to move icons and put them in folders, and teams would be nice and such. Come on,
yeah, but
come on.
anywho, yeah, I mean, I would like a late summer Nintendo sports game. I mean, well, we do have Sports Story, right? I mean, that's gonna be awesome. But I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, man, I am, man. The more I think about the Switch Pro, with my 18 Switch Lites that I've always thought about, I think the Switch Pro is gonna be great. I mean, I'm gonna get it. Hopefully there's enough of an update that will warrant me to switch over. And yeah, but I'm curious though, like if the Switch Pro comes out, would the Joy Cons change? Will we still be able to use our Joy Cons? I hope we can. I have 3 pairs, so
oh, I'm sure you can.
okay.
It may come with like updated models or something, but I'm sure that you can use the original for sure.
Okay, that'd be
Just
great.
like the Switch Lite uses the dock to connect to your TV. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
come on.
great. Yeah, I mean that's like
Of
obviously.
course it does. So, anyways, we don't know anything how to predict Nintendo, but we try, so it's fun.
Yeah.
And there you go. So there's 2020. So let me just ask you, Animal Crossing hits, Pokemon updates hit, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon hits, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Crystal Chronicles Bravely Default.
Yep.
Breath of the Wild 2 hopefully
my
hits,
God.
along with a smattering of like what we were calling kind of the second tier titles. So maybe a Pikmin, maybe a Mario sports game, maybe an old 3D remaster of a Zelda or Mario game, something like that. Is that a good year for you guys?
Yes, I think it is a decent year. And anything else would be just icing on the cake. So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna be pretty preoccupied, and then there's gonna be a lot of other like indie titles that come away, like Inmos. Inmos is gonna come out this year, right? I hope so.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Probably.
So, I mean, there's gonna be like just sparkles of indie games coming left and right, and
And a whole other year of Smash DLC. That'll be fun.
Right.
yes. And then, yeah, I mean, and can't forget Avery Attorney Definitive Edition. I mean,
Oh God.
No, I'm serious. I'm excited for that. So
I gotta say though, if I'm not looking at Breath of the Wild 2 at the end of that year, or something like an Odyssey 2 or Metroid Prime 4, not gonna happen. If I'm not looking at something like that at the end of the year looks a lot less strong for me.
Right.
Okay.
So that's kind of where my bar is. We'll see. I hope to see it. We'll see.
Okay. For sure.
Maybe an old Fire Emblem remake. That'd be kind of cool. They do that from time to time.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Another
Almost forgot.
Echoes.
The DLC, right? There's gonna be a new story in April.
Yeah, new
Yes.
story for Fire Emblem. Yep.
Oh, okay. Sergio, what do you think? What is your gut take?
Yeah, I think it would be nice. I mean, if we can get the more, the merrier. I was even thinking, what is a game from the Switch from 2017 that they could give a sequel to? It's been 3 years. Maybe it's time for ARMS 2. I feel like,
Splatoon 3. Oh, wait. No.
or that one. I mean, I think that's a given. I don't know when, but ARMS 2 is sort of a question mark. I think like it could work probably around September if they decide to do that. I mean, that's gonna be better than 1, 2, 3 Switch.
Oh, God.
Oh my!
They're going to totally do that, aren't they?
1, 2, 3. But breaking news: we just got one more submission for predictions from Big Shots. He just said, "I'm hoping for Mario Kart DLC still. A track called Joy-Con Drift."
Well played, sir.
Yeah,
I'm hoping
man.
for Mario Kart 9.
Oh,
Personally. Or
my-
Nintendo Kart or something. I'm hoping for a new game at this point.
Mm.
Man,
I think-
that would be great.
I think that might surprise people, but I think it might be coming.
Oh.
Also, a small little prediction, kind of a weird one for me. I think something Splatoon related comes this year. Not Splatoon 3, because that team is tied up on Animal Crossing. They're going to be supporting Animal Crossing for months. And months and months. But I do think something in the Splatoon IP is coming.
I think, and I'm gonna call it right now, a Splatoon rhythm game because the music is really good in the Splatoon games, and I think that a music game related to Splatoon would be a viable option.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I'm pretty excited for this year. I'm pretty
Man.
excited to not know much going into the year. I'm very excited for the next direct, which I hope is happening next week. And we'll see. We'll see from there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I am very excited. Like, and then there's also E3, later this year. And oh gosh, please, please bring back PSX. Like, I know that's not Nintendo related, but like, this would be perfect for PS5. And you know what? I'm gonna say right now, I am considering pre-ordering PS5. Why did I just say that? Because I'm excited. So, but besides the Sony platform, which we're not about anyway, collectively, but I think with Nintendo, like, I mean, there's Animal Crossing. I'm looking forward to playing a bunch of hours on it. Like, I, I mean, there's a reason why Sergio is the biggest Animal Crossing fan in the entire world, and I want to understand and empathize through that in this new game. And I'm just like, I'm stoked. I'm hyped. I'm excited. I want to win like everyone else with Animal Crossing. Put me on the
I'm
spot.
actually in on Animal Crossing too, and knowing the way I play this kind of game, like, don't hate me. The way I play this kind of game, I'm probably going to put like 20, 30 hours in, thoroughly enjoy it, drop it for something else, and not go back. But that's
good.
okay to me.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with that. Because that time I will have had, and you never know. I may be surprised and drop my own 1,000 hours into it or something.
Ooh, man.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm in on it. We're getting it, so it should be fun. And Beck's gonna be playing it too. So
That's right.
yeah. But I think that's it. You guys got anything else?
Yeah, I want to see, the early direct and then another one, probably the E3 presentation. I want just Nintendo to go all out and to make us forget or not care that there's a new Xbox and a new PlayStation. I really want that Nintendo go for it.
You know what? I'm conflicted, but I have to say I do want Nintendo to blow it out of the water for sure. I'm trying to find the balance between Nintendo and a PlayStation game that I'm going to play, Final Fantasy Remake and all
Hey,
that.
Sergio, can you tell him what the balance between Nintendo and Final Fantasy VII Remake should be?
Yes, please tell me. Wait, I know.
I want
So
you to take that slider. It's currently around 50-50. Move it all the way to 100.
okay.
And there you go. There's your
Dang.
balance.
Okay. Well, you know what? I might just follow that, but we'll see. But in general, like the Switch is gonna have. I think it's just gonna be some surprises and just and I have to say I am excited to play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I've never played it. Daryl, you've hyped about it a lot, so I'm looking forward to
Can't
that.
wait. I can't wait. My only hope right now is the same thing I went into Killer Queen Black Hope, and I just hope it's good.
Oh,
yes. If it is just true to its original game and it plays okay online, it's going to be a fantastic time. And I can't wait. But those two things have to happen, so we'll see.
Cool.
All right, that's all I got. Serge.
Same.
Nice. Well, we have a couple of answers from our question from last week, which was, do you have any gaming-related New Year's resolutions? Dragon told us that if Breath of the Wild 2 gets announced, maybe he's going to try his best to finish the first one before the second one. Nice. Cube also said that his resolution is to keep up with his once-a-month profile picture change, which is nice. As far as actual gaming, he says he wants to focus on completing games that he has already started. That's a good thing.
Very good.
Nice.
As for me, I'm sure I'm really looking forward to Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I'm actually extending an offer to NJP that I already placed in Haken. And basically, if anybody out there is gonna be playing the game and they're looking for an item or for bells or anything, let me know. I'm planning to have a lot of extra resources for everyone. I want to be able to help people that want to speed up their gameplay, or people that are new to the series and they may need help, or they may just want an item just to, get the game going a little bit quicker, I want to help those people. So definitely, if you're looking for anything, let me know. I should have it.
That's nice.
Awesome, man. I mean, yeah, that maybe I'll ask later on.
I want everything GameCube related. Everything.
Yes.
Oh,
Because I know it'll be in there.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
All right. Well, I think for me, the only one I really came up with is I'm going to resolve to let go of games earlier, which is a little bit different than finishing the games on my backlog, because I tend to be going through this cycle where I get kind of angry at games when they're taking too long and kind of wasting my time a little bit. And I've repeated that cycle a couple times, so I think I'm just gonna, if a game doesn't really hook me or something, I think I'm just gonna cut ties, sell it, get rid of it, and call it a day. So you may hear me talk about that in the future, hopefully, and I'll just be better for it. So there you go.
Yeah. Nice.
That's a good one. I think for me, and I don't really do it. I haven't done this in a while, or I don't know if I have ever. I'm going to do at least a couple game reviews for our website, and because I think that for me, like, I have a lot of thoughts on certain games that I really like. I definitely want to do a review with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Animal Crossing New Horizons. So you heard it here first. I am aiming to do game reviews for both those games. I will spend a decent amount of time on both, and yeah, just get more into writing, because as you may or may not know, I have started my own website, wavetohigh.com. I've been just writing about my travels in my second trip to Japan not too long ago, and I just want to keep with that theme and write a lot more, because writing is one of my favorite things to do, besides playing games and piano and doing the podcast with you guys and whatever. Like, there's just a lot of things. There's so many things going on in my life, but writing is like something that I want to have more focus on this year, and that includes game reviews. Boom.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually, I got a bit of an opportunity to kind of stretch my my writing, muscles a little bit recently. I wrote an article for our blog, which is NintendoJump.blogspot.com.
Yes.
About the games that I felt defined the last decade for Nintendo. That was a lot of fun to write. I hope you check it out and let me know what you think, because it was interesting for me to actually do some research and put it down. Just some things that I remembered, some things I didn't remember. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, so I feel you there.
Yeah, and that's great. Like, because I feel like with writing, like, there's just certain things that you can express in writing that it just has more meaning, and I really appreciate you going out of your way to do that. So that's got me motivated. I'm just
my 3,600 word essay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that is a substantial amount of good stuff. So there you go.
Oh God. Serge, what's our question for this week?
Question for this week. What video game drink would you like to try? For example, Maxim tomato juice, Lon milk, the Pikmin fruit juice. You know that Pikmin fruit juice? It looks too acidic to me.
No, that looks amazing to me.
I gotta think about this one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back to this one.
Yeah.
All right, let us know. Yeah, get in our Discord. Let us know. Other than that, let's wrap it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, everyone. We're going to jump out of here, but you can keep the discussion going by chatting with us on our Discord group. The description for this episode has a link to our Discord if you would like to join. We are also on Twitter and on Instagram as NintendoJump, and we also have a Facebook group. Please send us any feedback you have at NintendoJumpPodcast@gmail.com. The best way to support the show is through our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/NintendoJump, or by leaving a review for the show in your favorite podcast application. We would really appreciate it. This is Sergio, and on behalf of Kevin and Daryl, thanks for listening. We hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.
See ya.
That's Hop's final battle theme from Pokemon Sword and Shield. I can't stop listening to it.
Stop, man.
No,
Stop.
I can't. It's so good, especially when it's played on the piano. And yeah, I'm done. I'm stopping.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.